Friends at the Sea Escape. XSEED English Block 17. The grocery words are dome, a large rounded roof that is shaped like half of a ball. Hatch, a small entrance, a kind of door. Nudge, gentle push. Recreation, refreshment by doing something enjoyable. Rubble, broken bits or stones, pieces from a building that has fallen. Squealed, make a long loud cry or noise. Friends at the Sea Escape. My grandfather died on the day I was born. I don't remember it all. He was a scientist studying climate change. Only the scientists were really worried about it until the storms came. Although my grandfather was studying the slow effects of climate change, he died from the one of the sudden effects. The rest of my family was at the hospital waiting for me to be born. My grandfather got caught in the storm. He never made it. One day, my birth and the death of my grandfather changed my father's life forever. He wanted to keep me safe. Strangely, he turned to the very thing that had killed his own father, the ocean. So here I am, having a staring contest with a multicolored fish in my drawing room. I live in a colony called the Sea Escape. Most of the residents are scientists, farmers, or miners. The population in the colony grows every year as the amount of dry land shrinks. It never gets more exciting through. Fish can manage staring contests, but they aren't very good for conversation.
Yes.
I opened the door from my drawing room dorm and walked down the corridor to our school dorm. There was only one class of students, and most weren't even my age. Our teacher had us working on different projects on our tablets. My project was fine, but my partner, Nilesh, was one of the most annoying boy on land or under the sea. I pulled out my tablet and sat down to listen to the teacher. Nilesh sat next to me and pulled the tablet from my hands. I was furious but decided to ignore him. I tried to focus on what the teacher was saying, but I could only think about escaping the seascape tonight and meeting my friends. Suddenly, I heard my name, Tara Lane. Can't we get our hearts back to the sea now and begin our project? Nilesh laughed and whispered, Yeah, Tara, back to the sea. Whatever, it doesn't even make sense. After school, I went to the recreation dorm. I suited up to go out into the sea. Normally, the instructors don't allow children to be out on their own, but I had been here a long time. They would allow me to go out as long as they could see me. I went out the hatch into the cold water. Immediately, I felt a nudge. I flipped around, but there was nothing there. Again, there was the nudge. I turned even faster this time. Again, nothing. Finally, I typed, Come. Come on, Jesse, stop it. I want to talk. My equipment translated it into a bunch of whistles and buzzes. And just like that, I was riding on the back of my dolphin friend, Jesse. I squealed with laughter, and so did he. Finally, he stopped and caught my breath. He backed up and flapped his flippers. That meant that he wanted to know what the problem was. I typed, "It's that boy at school again. He took my tablet and never gave it back." Jesse laughed and did a flip in the water. The computer translated, "He wants steal your food so he slap you." I was confused for a second. Then I realized that he meant he stole your tablet so that he can get to know you. The translator didn't always work very well. Although dolphins can speak, they get bored with it quickly. Jesse kicked up a bunch of dirt on the bottom of the sea floor and started a game of hide and seek. Later that night, my dad walked into my bedroom dorm. I stopped homework and looked at him. "I heard you were out with the dolphins again. I'm getting a little worried about you." "But Dad, I have fun with them," I protested. They are really smart, but much smarter than everyone thinks. I can actually have a conversation with them." Dad raised an eyebrow. "What about that boy in your class, Nilesh? He's your age." Dad, I would rather be friends with a sea slug." Dad sighed. "Fine. Maybe when I connect our colony with Down Deep, you will find a new friend there." I shrugged and he left the room. That's what my dad does. He builds these dorms even though the land is overcrowded. People don't want to live down here because it is lonely and boring. I didn't blame them. Connecting the dorms, however, could bring more people together. More people could make it less lonely and more interesting. At least that's what my dad and the other developers hope. The next day went as normal. The school project was interesting, and English called me names. Just as we waited for the bell to ring, the siren went off. The siren usually meant that there was an accident. Nilesh ran up and checked the interactive map on the wall. He called me over, and for once he didn't sound annoying. He looked at me very seriously. His finger was on the site of the accident. It was the construction site of the new dorm. A heart-burning feeling started in my stomach. My dad was out there. The teacher pushed the button on her desk and asked to be connected to the construction site. There was no response. I ran out of the class dorm. My teacher yelled for me to wait. But I didn't listen. It was only when I reached the recreation dorm that I realized that Nilesh was behind me. "What do you want?" I yelled in his face. "Calm down," he said, putting his hands up. "If there's no response there, they will have to send water bikes. The bikes might not get there in time because the construction site is too far. I just want to help, and you obviously have a plan." It was so like him to speak for half an hour. when one sentence was enough. Fine, put on your suit, I said. Jessie, Jessie seemed a little nervous when I showed up with Nilesh, but he greeted me anyway. I just typed in "Dad, accident." What happened? Jessie knew where the construction site was. All the dolphins knew. He swam off a little way and sent out a series of clicks and vibrations into the water. The other dolphins understood the message and sent it out to the others along the way. After a few minutes, Jessie turned towards me and chirped through the translator. There is a rock fall. People under the rocks don't know where to chirp people. Nilesh said, I can use the satellite radar. Keep your communicator on, and I will tell you where to find them. Nilesh went back inside as I waited impatiently. Finally, I heard his voice through the communicator. There is one person under a 20-foot cliff. Will you be able to translate that to the dolphins? I typed the message into the translator, and Jessie passed on the message to other dolphins. Nilesh told me the location of all the people he could see through the radar. I translated it to Jessie, who passed on the message through water vibrations. The message was received by a pod of dolphins near the accident site. One by one, they found the people under the rocks and pulled them out. Finally, Nilesh told me that the water bikes were back from the site. I popped back into the recreation dome. I could see Jessie waiting and watching me from outside. As I entered the dome, Nilesh held up my tablet, grinning. It was my father's face. He looked tired but happy. After the explosion, we were trapped in the rubble and there wasn't enough air. I thought it was going to be the end, he explained, but the dolphins came. It was like magic. They worked together to pull us all out. We owe them our lives. That cold, hard feeling in my stomach turned into laughter. I just couldn't stop laughing. I turned to Jessie. He began dancing in the water. Nilesh looked at Jessie and me and started to laugh too. Maybe he wasn't the worst boy on land or under the sea after all.